what he feels.
Because I think he's a narcissist, I think it's an act.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and listen, you are completely valid in your opinions. Okay,
I just want to say, from what I've seen, from what I've read articles and things. I feel so sorry for his family, his mum, his wife. From what I've read, they seem like lovely people. I just feel so heartbroken for them.
Yeah.
It's just so I feel a bit emotional. I just feel it's just such a sad situation for everyone, really.
Yeah. Well,
It's very
accusations.
sad.
Well, when charges are brought, accusations are brought, however you want to put it, the ripple effect of that can be devastating. And we have seen more than once where someone like Russell Brand has charges thrown at him. There's headlines, and then nothing comes from it. But by then, the damage is done. And here's another one, Louise, right? In a situation like this, if the identity of these women are protected in a crazy world, okay, we could almost say that if there was a huge conspiracy at work here, if it never goes to court, we never need to be given the names of these protected sources, because it would be then just a headlines war. And sadly, that's kind of one of the realities that we live in. So if these women are real, and if all these accusations are real, Russell Brand, if he is guilty, needs to be punished severely for the crimes, if any, that he has committed, the same way anyone should be held accountable for crimes that involve R.
Can I just say, I know from what I've read that accusations of rape, when they go to the Crown prosecution, are rarely sort of, become charges. So I personally think there must be quite a lot of evidence for it to get to this stage. There must be.
Sure. But the problem is conspiracy, assumption, the government, we have all of this. And I know to some people it's far-fetched, right? But trust me when I say, if this doesn't go to court, Louise, none of these women's names will ever be put forward. We'll never really hear the backstories, and it will just fizzle away. And
but it is going to court, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. This is the thing. Just because it's planned doesn't mean it's going to happen. A lot of things can happen before then, and I'm not saying in any way that we should discredit anyone's story, but I need more information, because I do not really trust some of the things that I get told. And maybe I'm a cynic, Louise, right? Maybe I'm a cynical.
No, I know.
And
as you've said earlier, I think, which I know you can't talk too much about, but as you said earlier, it could be a major conspiracy thing against the fact that he's such a big truth seeker and he's got a lot of fans in that respect. And I admire, it's like part of me is triggered by him because I was very hurt by him, but then I really admire the truth seeking he does now, and I agree with a lot of it. So that, like you said before, it could be a massive thing just to get him stop speaking.
Here's an interesting one, though. You were drawn to him before because of the comedy and all of that. Do you think maybe a shift in who you are now has drawn you back to him because of the truth seeking?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm not saying you're going to get love heart emoji eyes again and get drawn in.
Oh no!
But for someone who you've been through, I'm not going to say super. It was a horrible thing that you went through, okay? But it's
a lot of people get heartbroken over people that they. Yeah, I understand that. Like, it's not. I'm not saying, "Oh, poor me."
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
I'm just telling you how my experience with him.
Sure.
But he basically didn't treat me very nicely. That's basically it.
Well,
and I've since sort of come to the conclusion that he's a narc. So I know that word gets bandied about so much nowadays, but
Louise,
I personally think he definitely is. Can I just say there's a YouTube channel called HG Tudor, and he does a brilliant analysis of him.
Okay.
But being a narcissist. So if anyone wants to listen to that, it's very good.
Well, one of the common tactics that narcissists use is love bombing, right? Would you say, looking back, all of these because one thing I want to do is get some balance here, right? So when you had moments where you weren't getting treated right, what would he do to draw you back in, or did you just draw yourself back in? Was there any sort of Good.
Uh,
Well, I think.
well, yeah, sorry.
Anyway,
I was so infatuated with him. He probably didn't really need to do that much love
okay.
bombing, but he was very charming. He could be very charming. Like yeah, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I'm just getting little flashbacks of stupid little things I remember.
That's all right.
Anyway,
Well, let me ask you this, right?
um,
Can you give us some positive memories that you have of Russell to balance out? Because we can't sit here and assume that every day was
yeah,
a lamp throwing day, right? There must have been days
no,
where you're
no,
like, oh wow, maybe I can change him. Because we spoke about this earlier, that
mm,
sometimes women get that in their head, and that's what draws them to the bad boy image, is that, oh, I'm going to be the one, right? So tell us a couple of moments that are, nice memories, if any at all. But if you can, just for
well,
context.
apart from him saying I was like beautiful and all this, the only thing I can think of that I thought, oh, that's nice, is he used to always pay for my taxi.
Wow. Wow. Now,
That's the
let me,
only really
wow.
thing I can
Okay.
think of.
All right. So just to be clear,
Sorry,
this
that's
is
not
how
good. That's not good.
this is how besotted you were with Russell Brand, right? Let's cut the crap here. You were so besotted that,
Oh God.
obviously when he threw the lamp, it was over for you, right? So it wasn't like that every day. But let's be honest, you were sucked in, and it happens to a lot of people, men and women. So there's no judging here. And I just want to say, I praise you for coming and telling your story, because a lot of people do get sucked in by uh someone online, someone on TV. It's an age old
Yeah, but
story.
I put myself out there to be sucked in, so
Yeah.
I blame myself really, but that
And
it's my fault for letting someone treat me badly.
well, you were
But yeah,
23.
I went on to have like sort of abusive relationships after that, so I don't know whether that was just the start of. But I
Yeah.
went on to have like narcissistic relationships with like a few men. So I can see now, like I can know what they're like. So and yeah, sorry I keep going on about him
No,
being a
no,
narcissist, but
that's all
I
right.
just know he is. I just know he is,
That's all right.
which is
You're
sad.
entitled to your opinion. You have an experience, and you're taking it from a personal experience. No, you're not casting judgments off the media and things like that. So it's all right. Don't worry. But what?
I also feel sorry for him. I don't know why I do, but I just feel sorry for him too, because he's got family and maybe he is trying to like he obviously is trying to be a good person, but I just don't think he's capable of
Okay. Well, here's an interesting
being
one.
yeah.
Marisol has said, Russell sounds like a horrible boyfriend. Would you say that's a true statement? 20 years ago.
Well, I
20 years
wasn't.
ago.
Yeah. Well, it didn't really develop to a proper boyfriend girlfriend thing, but
Yeah.
from what I saw of him, yeah, not very. When one to one,
Okay.
not very nice. No,
Okay. Well, listen,
unfortunately.
that's your experience, and you know, I think we can all look at your
Especially the fact that when I caught the STD from him,
yep.
he didn't even say sorry or he didn't even acknowledge it apart from laughing about it on the radio show.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty
he
brutal.
didn't care. He just didn't care. Didn't care at all.
Was there a part of
So
you?
that made me realise that he didn't care about me at all, at all.
Can I ask you
So I was very hurt.
can I ask you a bit of a deep philosophical question? I don't want you to think that
No, sure.
I'm being out of key here. Do you think there's possibly a part of you that is so dead set on pushing the narcissist factor with your encounter,
Mhm.
because it almost gives you a shield from just how sucked in you were at 23? And if you remove the narcissist factor, there's not there's
No, because at the time I didn't think he was.
okay.
Well, I didn't actually know what a narcissist was at the time, but I just I've researched a lot about it because my son's dad's one,
Yeah.
um, and I just I've I've done a lot of research into it to try and understand it, and it's very sad. It's a very sad thing. I think I don't know whether it's one in six people are or something like that from my research.
Well,
It's
here
not as if it's rare or anything,
y-
but
Yeah,
No, I'm not shielded by the fact that I was infatuated by him. My opinion, he is a narcissist. That's all. I'm not
that's
gonna
okay. That's
waver
okay.
from that.
I'm just pressing you. It's what I do.
Yeah, no, you can ask me anything. No, I'm not taking offense.
That I didn't. No, I didn't think you were. Don't worry. But it's
Mhm.
just it's an interesting story, and I gave you an analogy that you didn't really relate to, right? But when we talk about situations like this, and we hear about young girls who are besotted with it, and I said if Russell Brand was a singer in a band, right, and
Mm.
there was a stream of the word groupies. I hate to use that word, right?
Right.
It's one of those scenarios where I think you feel like with that stigma when it comes to groupies and bands, you kind of expect what you're walking into. Whereas with what you were walking into, there wasn't social media, there wasn't that presence. It was a guy on TV that you met in a bar, had a real encounter with, and maybe there wasn't the warning signs because of the culture difference between the two types of celebrity. But did you feel at all like you had any inclination that you were walking into just being one of his girls, effectively?
As time went on, I got suspicions. Like obviously the massive red flag about females' knickers on the floor.
Yeah,
I must have just been blinded, but I looking back, I was such a naive girl. I know 23 is not that young, but I was at the time. I came from a small, very small village out in the sticks. I moved to London to be near him, which is totally pathetic. I know he probably laughed if he knew I did that, but I was so naive. I was so streetwise. Is that a word? I was just so trusting. I I didn't think there were really bad people, but like nasty people. I was just stupid. I was basically stupid. I can't remember what the question was, Ron. I'm sorry. I've gone off on a tangent.
yeah, yeah. Well, look, Ron
What was the
just
question?
Ron. No,
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 I
no, don't
didn't
worry, don't
know.
worry.
Sorry.
Ron wants to get to the bottom of what the truth is in all this. And do you think that his split personality could have been a manifestation of guilt of things that happened before he met you? Did he ever show signs of somebody who was troubled and had something to say but never said it?
What do you mean split personality?
Well, when we talk about how he was one
Oh,
person
what
on,
the 1 minute he was charming and then
yeah,
1 minute
yeah.
he was
Do you
grumpy, do you
think
mean?
do you think that that could have been guilt manifesting from horrible acts that happened a few years before he happened to you? Did he look like somebody who was troubled by something that he wasn't?
What by things he went through when he was little, you mean?
No, what I mean is
Oh,
the
sorry.
crimes that these women are accusing him of happened
Yeah.
before you
Oh,
met
I
him.
see.
Do you
Yeah, that
think
happened
do you
before. I
think that
think
you
one of
could have
them was.
been seeing somebody struggling with their own conscience?
Well, I might have done at the time, but now I think I can't stop talking about it. Now I think he's a narcissist, then he hasn't got a guilty conscience, Ron. I know a lot
Yeah,
about narcissism, so no, I don't think he has got any guilt. I
yeah,
think he justifies it.
yeah. Well, honestly, it sounds like he treated you terribly and not a good
I
individual.
let him treat me terribly.
Yeah,
So it's my fault, I think. It's my fault.
yeah,
I don't blame him. He's just the person he is. I don't blame him. I put myself out there to be treated terribly. So hopefully, well, I didn't really learn from it, but hopefully it is quite. Afterwards, when he blew up being famous,
yeah,
it was very triggering for me because all of a sudden I was like heartbroken, and everywhere he'd be everywhere on every channel,
yeah.
every radio, it'd just be everywhere, and it was really
Nightmare.
unpleasant.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, so I try. Haven't read any of his books or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Let me
So I
ask you
just
something.
thought, oh,
Let me ask you something, Louise. Do you feel like I'm trying to change your narrative or push for you to say that Russell Brand was anything other than a horrible, horrible partner to you? Do you feel like I'm trying to change your narrative at all? Because there's a few people in the side
um,
chat that are thinking that I'm trying to defend Russell Brand. I'm trying to get
no,
an
no,
accurate description
sorry,
of who he was, if that makes sense.
no.
Sometimes
I just think you're putting a different case across, which everyone's got their own opinion, but it's just because I know
Yeah.
so much about narcissism now. I just know he doesn't mean to be the way he is. He just can't help it,
Well, if
and he
you're
probably doesn't even realize that he's a narcissist, but he is.
100%. 100%.
He is.
If you're watching this and you're a
Yeah.
hater of Ron, please share the live stream with something like, "Oh my
No,
God, this guy is defending Russell Brand." Please, it'll really
no, I
help
know
the
you're not.
viewership.
You've got to put a different side across.
Yeah,
It,
man.
it can't be like echo chamber, like you
No, well,
said. Like you've got.
100%. For me, you got to ask questions. You got to ask questions. And like I say, if you disagree with me, that's okay. But trust me, I'm only here for the truth with everything that I cover. And I thought that Louise's take was going to be a unique perspective. But it's very, very interesting when these things happen and the timing of these things happen. And it raises massive suspicions. Your story paints the picture 100%. I think people would agree that there's an argument for him being a narcissist. I think the way you were treated on that radio station after you discovered what you discovered is horrendous. I'll be honest, and I'm being blunt here. You paint a picture of somebody who was used by someone for their own gain, for their own purpose and desires, and was cast aside when you decided to leave. There was no trying to get you back or pull you back in. That must have been horrific to come to terms with, and paints a picture of a man back then who the phrase narcissist would be quite an eloquent fit. Put a 1 in the side chat if you agree with that. Put a 2 if you disagree. Put a 3 if Ron's way of explaining things is too confusing. And I just want to remind everybody, Louise has been very kind to say that if you guys want to come and ask questions, she'll remain on the live. Any disrespectful nonsense, and you will be cast out into the realm of shadows. But you're very
Can I
welcome.
also say
Yeah.
to sort of like support your point?
Yeah.
The fact that he's been married for quite a while and he's had children and he hasn't broken up with that person, that shows that, I mean, unless she comes forward and says, "Oh, he treated me horribly and everything," maybe he has changed. But just me personally thinking he's a narcissist, I don't think he's capable of it. But unless she, like in the future, it comes out that he treated her horribly,
Yeah.
then maybe there's possibility he has, because maybe he isn't a loving husband, and I don't know.
Well, absolutely.
I just hope I hope his family are okay.
Heather in the side chat says, "Ron, Russell admits he's a narcissist." Well, 100%, and
Does he?
well, according to Heather, allegedly, according
I
to
don't
Heather.
know.
So,
Oh, well, if he admits it, that's something.
well, here's the thing.
But
Watching Ron go on a journey like this and progress, getting to where he just said that a narcissist would be a very fitting title for him back then, is Ron getting to that conclusion that Louise's assessment, in my opinion, is bang on? Because when you look at
a narcissist can't change. He can't. A narcissist can never change. They can never be cured, from my research. So it's very confusing. I mean, the fact that he does seem to, on paper, he seems now to have been a changed man, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know really, but I've got my opinion.
And listen, you are wholly entitled to it. In fact, you're probably entitled to the opinion a little bit more than any of us because of your
A little bit, yeah, because I had,
Smidgen.
dalliances with him, whatever. I can't think of the word.
Anyone who has to get a massive dose of penicillin gets up a notch on the opinion scale. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just want to say, anyone who would like to come and join us, please do so. Have your say, have some questions. If you have constructive criticism or you want to put forward a different point of view, please do it respectfully. And I just want to remind everyone, we're talking about a 23-year-old woman. Do you all remember what you were like when you were 23? Like, do you all remember the decisions we used to make at that age? And it's definitely nothing that you should feel you should blame yourself for, Louise, at all.
I kind of do, because I stupidly, let myself be treated like that. So I kind of do blame myself. But then again, he shouldn't have treated me like that. But
no, of course.
I let it happen. So, but then I was naive. So I don't. Looking back, I don't know. I shouldn't like blame myself for it, but I do in a way. I don't know.
And again, I think your points are bang on, and your assessment of him back then, I think, is bang on too. I think, again, this whole story, I had assumed that when the documentary came out, Louise, that we were going
I didn't see that documentary.
Well, no,
I don't like
understand
watching
why.
anything because it triggers me.
Yeah, I can understand
So
why.
what was the documentary like?
Oh, it was...
Did it just paint him in a bad picture?
It was pretty severe, right?
Oh.
But what we expected to happen after that was an avalanche of more victims, if you will, in the same with most cases. And to my knowledge, it never really happened. Do you think the next 48 hours is going to be telling to see if it goes from 4 to 8 to 12?
Ah, I see what you're saying. And also, you said earlier that why didn't the women come forward at the time, which they might have done.
They might have done. They may have done.
But then
I just want to
again,
say, I was pointing out the difference between the two. Yeah, sorry to go.
Victims of sexual assault, a lot of times I've been a victim of it, not by him, but you just want to forget about it. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to remember it. So I kind of understand why they wouldn't have come forward straight away, and also the fact that you feel like you wouldn't be believed, or you kind of, the fact that rape cases hardly ever come to court.
Yeah, well, it's 14% are reported and less than 1% go to conviction. I mean, there's a really, really horrific statistic. Do you think that...
But I also know that women can cry rape when it's
100%.
So that they give the real victims...
No, 100%.
Like, it's terrible for the real victims. It's like, so that can be the other way around. I know that.
100%.
And it's one person's, unless there's actual proof, it's one person's word against another, isn't it?
100%. 100%. And that's where it gets
makes
tricky.
me realize the fact that it very rarely goes to court shows to me that there must be good evidence in this particular case. But then again, if you think about it on the conspiracy angle about bringing him down because of his truth seeking, I don't know.
Yeah, well, listen, everyone, get your say, have your say, come and join us on the Discord. If any of the mods or the community members want to come into the waiting room, I'll start pulling you guys in. And I'm sure some of you have got some questions for Louise, and she's very kindly going to accept some questions. So you can either type them in the side chat or come and join us. But before